चादर बिछाओ बलमा चादरिया चादर बिछाओ बलमा नींद लगे चली सोई रहना नींद लगे चली सोई रहना चादर बिछाओ बलमा चादरिया चादर बिछाओ बलमा नींद लगे चली सोई रहना नींद लगे चली सोई रहना This is your Natasha Sundar. Take a wife, take a wife, take a wife, take a wife. Start to trumpet, start to trumpet, start to trumpet, start to trumpet. मोरी ससुर जी के कोई कोई महलिया मोरी ससुर जी के कोई कोई महलिया सबसे सुंदर हमारा महिला चादरिया चादर बिछाओ बलमा नींद लगे चली सोई रहना नींद लगे चली सोई रहना नैना बांध लगी ना लगी नरी लगी ना लगी ना लगी नरी नैना बांध लगी ना लगी नरी लगी ना लगी ना लगी नरी Wind it, wind it, wind it, chunk it, chunk it, take it, बादल गरजे बिजली चमकी चुकिया बूंदे पदीना पदीना रे बादल गरजे बिजली चमकी चुकिया बूंदे पदीना पदीना रे बादल गरजे बिजली चमकी बादल गरजे बिजली चमकी चुकिया बूंदे पदीना पदीना रे नैना बांध लगी ना लगी नरी लगी ना लगी ना लगी नरी नैना बांध लगी ना लगी नरी लगी ना लगी ना लगी नरी
I am bent, but not broken. I am scared, but not disfigured. I am sad, but not hopeless. I am tired, but not powerless. I am angry, but not bitter. I am depressed, but not giving up. Anonymous. This is Get Real with Shameeza, and I'm your hostess, Shameeza Ali. Salam, namaste, and a good evening to everyone joining us on Facebook Live, YouTube, NTN Channel 69, and on Island Zone Radio. Welcome. Tonight, we are discussing mental health. Call your family and friends. You never know who's suffering in silence. Mental illness is a major global health issue. In the United States alone, a National Institutes for Mental Health reports that nearly 44 million adults, 18%, experience mental illness per year. Raising awareness and increasing the understanding of mental health can change the way society views and responds to this complex issue. In recent years, there has been increasing acknowledgement of the important role mental health plays in achieving global development goals, as illustrated by the inclusion of mental health in the Sustainable Development Goals. Depression is one of the leading causes of disability. Suicide is the fourth leading cause of death among 15 to 29-year-olds. People with severe mental health conditions die prematurely, as much as 2 decades early, due to preventable physical conditions. Despite progress in some countries, people with mental health conditions often experience severe human rights violations, discrimination, and stigma. Many mental health conditions can be effectively treated at relatively low cost, yet the gap between people needing care and those with access to care remains substantial. Effective treatment coverage remains extremely low. Tonight, this will be our discussion and more. But first, here is a message from our sponsors.
Enos Driving School offers training for CDL licenses, including tractor trailers, trucks, and school buses. Just think, with a CDL license, you can have access to thousands of driving jobs at large companies such as FedEx, UPS, MTA, or New York Sanitation. Enos Driving School also offers defensive driving courses and training classes for cars and motorcycles, all taught by their college-trained instructors who can even schedule your road test appointments. Inquire about other driving and training packages as well. You might even be qualified for their free CDL training, as they are a certified institution with the New York State Workforce One program. Call Enos Driving School today. They've been serving our community for over 10 years.
M&R Firefest is one of the newest hotspots in Richmond Hill. If you're looking to have a fun time or just chill, this lounge is the place to be. We celebrate all occasions and our live entertainment and drink specials are amazing. We are located at 13123 Liberty Avenue. Come check us out and see what everyone is talking about.
Flamingo Restaurant and Mantra Lounge. We are NYC's premier Caribbean restaurant and lounge, specializing in authentic West Indian, Chinese, and Caribbean cuisine. Open every day for lunch and late nights. For delivery, find us on Uber Eats, Grubhub, Seamless, and DoorDash. Visit our rooftop lounge upstairs on the weekends for a fun-filled night. We cater and take bookings for private events. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Flamingo Mantra. Our address is 120-06 Rockaway Boulevard, telephone 7188351000.
Brooklyn Media Group and Dave Pittenberg, in association with Angels Caribbean Entertainment Group, proudly present for the first time a Carnival, the musical experience at the iconic Showboat Hotel and Convention Center in Atlantic City, New Jersey on Friday, June 17th. Come and enjoy Father's Day weekend with your entire family in a family-friendly environment. A musical show with a difference, featuring a multicultural and talented Angels Caribbean Band and the Tarang Dance Troupe, live musicians, dancers, carnival costume, stealth walkers, and much more, and the mega after dance party with DJ Fest. So come dance the night away. Family fun for the weekend. Atlantic City Boardwalk, Atlantic City Beach, Showboat, Lucky Snakes Arcade, Go-Kart, Steel Pier Carnival, and rides. Tickets available at www.angelscaribbeanbandac.eventbrites.com. Showtime 7:30 p.m. Carnival, the musical experience.
I came to the USA in my early 20s after obtaining a master's degree. I went back to school to realize the American dream and became an engineer and a tech manager for various Fortune 500 companies. As a community activist, I worked with the Democratic Party and many organizations. Now I am running to become your assembly person for Assembly District 24. My number one priority is public safety. Vote for me on June 28. Early voting starts from June 18th to 26th.
Our guests tonight are two fabulous women. Annalisa, she's a mom, she's persistent, and she's a heartbreak coach. Please welcome Annalisa Bahadur.
Hi, thanks for
Our
having me
next,
again, Shameeza.
hey, how are you? It's
I'm
good to
good.
have you
I'm good.
back.
Thank you.
Uh, our next guest, she's a mom, she's strong, she's a veteran, and she's a singer. Please welcome Natasha Sundar.
Hi, Shameeza. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you, beautiful ladies, here this evening. So, if you guys can do a quick introduction, I know, you're both people are very familiar with you, but for anyone out there that doesn't know who you are, please do a quick introduction of who you are. Why is this topic important to you today? We'll start with Annalisa.
Oh, thanks. So I'm a heartbreak coach. I have a degree in psychology, a certified heartbreak coach. So I use a combination of my coaching certification and my psychology degree to help people heal from childhood trauma. A lot of my cases are, cases where heartbreak has affected people so badly that they've slipped into mental health illnesses. So it's something that is very close to home for me.
Perfect. And you, Natasha?
I was in the military for 9 years, and part of our training is mental health awareness and how to cope and deal with mental health, given the very stressful and demanding environment that we were in. And also, I had personal experience with friends and very close family members that suffered from mental health illness. So
Well, thank you for your service, Natasha. 9 years in the military. That's quite an accomplishment. So thank you so much.
thank you.
So we'll get right into it, ladies. Mental health, like I just the beginning of the show, it's something that affects a lot of people. No matter where you're from, what's going on, it affects everyone, right? There is no color, there is no gender. It affects everyone. It doesn't have any age, right? We see young kids now, more and more we're seeing it, right? I feel like growing up, we didn't know about these things back in Guyana. And I'm sure, Natasha, for you in Trinidad, we hardly hear of these things. And now it's a thing that you hear about all the time. Little kids, older people, mid-age people. So it's definitely something that we need to have a discussion on, and just ways that we can things that we can do to make it better, to make ourselves better, right? Because it all starts with us. If we're not functioning right, we can't help others, right? So, Annalise, in your experience, what how does it affect us as human beings? Like, what are the signs to look? How do I know if I have a mental issue? Like, what are the signs to look for?
Well, I mean, that's kind of broad because it depends on what exactly you're suffering from and what caused it. So, I mean, okay, you touched on us not, now there's more of an awareness around this topic. Whereas when we were growing up in Guyana, I'm guessing Trinidad the same, as I've got clients from Trinidad who are speaking up right now. So I think what happened was we knew something was off when we were kids, but we didn't have a name for it. There wasn't a label there. So we didn't know exactly what we were dealing with.
Right.
There are certain things that our bodies go through as we change during puberty. We get angry, frustrated. We just don't understand what's happening within our body. And that causes us to act out. And when we're shut down, and in our culture, we hear a lot of, oh, get over yourself. Or if you have like a little boyfriend and you break up, you tell your parents, or you say to someone, or you're crying, they'll say, oh, what's wrong with you? You're too young for that, right? So your emotions are shut down, and that creates a trauma. And later in your life, that can affect you. But there are like a number of risk factors that affects a person. as they age, and that accumulates, and it can come from, I don't know, genetically. You've got to look at your genetics to see what's going on there. There's screening that's done. Again, trauma, social factors in your childhood and where you are right now can trigger either emotions that's not connected genetically. I know I'm getting into the science bit here, and I'm going to try to keep it simple. But what can also happen is that there's this chemical in your brain, dopamine. It's the happy drug, right? And when neurotransmitters are firing off too fast or too slow, that's what affects your mood. And that causes like a ripple effect and what mental issue it can become, right?
Okay.
So it really depends on the risk factors.
So what I'm hearing, is it safe to say, Annalisa, is that all of us at some point in our life is at risk of having mental issues,
Okay, first of all,
knowingly or
I
unknowingly?
need a disclaimer first. I am not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not a therapist. This is really from the research that I've done, the work that I've been doing. But yes, from the research that I've done, we're all at risk because we've all had some sort of trauma that most of us have not dealt with. So what happens, it can all pile on to each other, one trauma onto the next. And when you don't get the help that you need, that's when you can start suffering from anxiety. Because what really happens is you're getting a dopamine kick when you're happy, right? We're born, we're all happy, we're all creative, we're going about our lives. Something happens and we dip, right? So we're at, our body wants to stay at equilibrium. We want to stay at hemostasis. But what happens when we're happy, we're all good. Dopamine's flowing up there. When we get sad, it plummets. And then it takes a while for our bodies to come back. Now, if you go through this year after year, trauma after trauma, your body starts to sort of out of whack, for a lack of a better term, right? And that throws you into things like anxiety attacks because you're not really sure what's coming at you. Everything can feel like an attack, right? It becomes bigger than it actually is. So it depends. Again, it can be managed. There are people I know who have not gotten to that stage of anxiety attacks or panic attacks or worry, depression. But and they've started doing the work, and it's, there's certain techniques that you could learn to use before it gets to that point. But yeah, we're all, I would imagine we're all at risk.
And then, Natasha, in your experience, right, and your training, I guess a lot of it is focused on mental health, right?
Right.
What can you tell us about some of the training that you've done around mental health? Because I'm sure the military will have some of the best training out there, right? Some of the best things in place for our soldiers or whatever department it is. But what is your experience from that? What can you tell us?
Well, from our training, basically, they teach you how to cope with the stresses, of what we're going through. In the military, you are away from your family, you're away from your comfort, you're in a different environment. So you're dealing with a lot of unknown. It's a lot of things change really quickly. So to go from being normal or comfortable with something to not being comfortable, it causes a stress on you. And you have to learn how to adapt and change really quickly. And they teach you, techniques that you can use to cope with those stresses. One of it would be, we call it the wingman concept. I mean, talking to your close friends and the people that are there, that's very important. Looking out for each other, because if you're working or you're in a group at all the time, you are used to a certain type of behavior with that person. And when you see their changes in behavior, then you know that something is, something is wrong. So then, they train us to look for those things in, like I said, like with Annalisa, I am not a professional at all. This
Of
is just
course.
from experience and, just talking and having these little seminars and training that we went to. So there's nothing, I don't have a degree in psychology or anything. So yeah, so it's they just train you with the techniques and how to use them, how to identify and help others. And if you're going through that, what you should do, and they give you these resources also, that helps, that you could reach out to go through these issues that you might have.
Well said. And like Anthony Prasad says, he says, adapting to life's changing uncertainty is always a plus for mental health. I agree, right? But again, to your point, right? Not all of us might be able to cope with things the same way, right? Genetically, mentally, we're not all the same. So we have to find solutions, and we will look at solutions in a little bit. But there is something that I want to read from the World Health Organization article, and kind of like a statistic that was done. And it says there have been growing concerns about increasing mental health problems among individuals within the Caribbean region. Like other countries, the Caribbean region continues to demonstrate that stigma is associated with mental illness. Historically, cultural norms often associated with mental illness with spiritual desecration, personal failing, and supernatural forces. This has resulted in a significant number of mental health problems that go undiagnosed, unreported, untreated, and in turn understudied. In addition, while mental health issues are others on other islands such as Guyana, Barbados, and Trinidad and Tobago have also become pressing concerns, there have been very few studies conducted to understand rates and associated challenges. Some studies in the Americas have estimated the prevalence of 10 to 15% of the population with mental disorders at any one time, with 3 to 5% having a severe chronic mental disorder. A review of the available literature on rates of mental health disorders in Latin American and Caribbean countries have estimated major depression at 9.8%, alcohol abuse at 11.3%, and drug abuse and dependence at 2.1%. Notwithstanding these estimates, data in these regions are still lacking 25 to 50% of these factors. Limited resources for research have created difficulty in obtaining estimates on mental disorders within the Caribbean. How does this make you feel? I know, Annalisa, you're a little bit taken. I read it and I had to go over it several times to see. And I mean, it speaks. There is evidence there that I can tell. It speaks of the Caribbean.
Well, I'm
Drug
not
abuse,
surprised.
suicide, all of these different things are definitely things that's happening among all of us, right? And we know about it. There is no secret to that. But the numbers are staggering, right? Like, and we have to understand too is that those number does not, I will say, the majority of cases, because it's unreported, right? Unreported, undiagnosed. So much of it, we know it exists, it's just not reported. And
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised at all, and I agree with you. I would want to believe that it's not accurate. It's a lot more. I mean, if we just look at the people we know, our little circle,
yes,
we could tell that that it is a problem. And even in our circle, not many people will talk about it, and they play it down, and they don't validate. Or I like to deal with the children first, because I feel if you could start helping to heal children, then you don't have to deal with broken adults, right? We have cases in Guyana where kids can't go to their parents and say, "Hey, I am scared to go to school. I'm being bullied. Someone hurt my feelings." Can't even cry. And this is not just boys. We know there's that stigma for boys already. You can't go to your parent and cry without them saying, "Shut up, you've got no reason to cry, leave me alone, I'm busy, I'm tired," right? So your feelings are not validated. Looking at our culture, there's been a number of murder suicides
Yes.
forever. It's always been a case, right? And that tells that there's an unhealthy, a mentally unhealthy individual who needs attention, doesn't know how to ask for attention, and the people around does not know how to diagnose it. So it's always
I agree. I agree. But I am sure if we dig deeper, right, we can understand or we can find why is it uh are we as a society judging more, right? uh I think it's judgment, it's stigma, it's a lot of things. It's pride, right? We what if we didn't have all of those things? Do you think this will be a topic like how we talk about how happy we are? Do you think we will say, hey, I'm not feeling so well these days, I think I have a mental health issue? Do
yeah.
you think if we took out all of those things that I just mentioned, and just the way we speak about being happy and being grateful and being so proud of our accomplishments, do you think if we didn't have those things and it didn't exist in our community, we'd be more apt to say, you know what, I don't feel so well, I feel like I should check in, right, and get
Mhm.
help?
Mhm.
Natasha, do you think that's something that, as a community, that if we didn't have, we will probably be a little bit more, giving in to saying, hey, I'm not well, I need help,
Oh,
and we'll have less
definitely.
of those issues?
I definitely think so. I think one of the biggest problem and issue with um, you know, not talking about mental health and not making mental health an awareness as popular like we should deal with it is because of the stigma that surrounds it. And I know that for a fact that no one wants to talk about it because it to them it shows a weakness in themselves. And honestly, I mean, my opinion, it's actually the opposite. Being vulnerable about yourself is actually a strength, that because it only makes you better. But yes, if we didn't have the stigma and the thought of being talked about or looked down on because we have an issue, I think we could deal with mental health a lot better than we are currently.
Agreed. Yeah, Annalisa, you want to touch on that?
I think it's also a case of when someone hears of the troubles you're going through, then they have to stop and look at their own troubles, and that can be uncomfortable for someone. A lot of people don't know how to empathize, how to show compassion in situations like this. It's very painful for a family member to have a family member or a friend, a close friend, come up and say, hey, you know what, I'm having these really negative thoughts, I'm having these really negative feelings, how do you deal with it? It's scary for the person listening to it. So a lot of times we prefer to shut these things down. And again, in our culture, we're very, very good at pushing the problem aside and just moving on, thinking that it's going to disappear. And it does, it disappears into the individual, but then it piles on and on. So I think, in addition to hoping that we could remove judgment and condemnation and all of those things, maybe what we need to start embracing and practicing a little bit more is compassion and empathy, because we are all in that position. And whether we want to talk about it or not, if a friend comes to you and says, hey, I'm not feeling really well, I'm feeling really sad, I don't want to get out of bed, I don't want to deal with life anymore, instead of shutting them down, just listen. Just listen, because just allowing that person to speak, to talk about how they feel, whether you could appreciate it, understand it or not, just letting them speak, it's therapy and it's healing for that person. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but sometimes we just have to suck up our own feelings and let them be.
Definitely. And, when we come back in the next segment of this topic, we will go over, are we as a person, right? Can I, if someone comes to me, my friend, for example, or a family member, am I trusted enough? Do I listen well so that they feel like they can come to me and tell me what their problem is, right? And I wouldn't judge, I wouldn't share it with anyone else, because I think it goes both ways, right? If I'm suffering, I need someone I can trust. And we have to really dig deeper within ourselves to see if we are that person that others can confide in and really find support. So, with that said, guys, we'll take a quick break and we will be right back.
Hibiscus has been a flagship restaurant in our community for a very long time. Come dine with us and enjoy our excellent food, drinks and service at any one of our many locations. We are located on 12418 101 Avenue and 22113 Jamaica Avenue. Hibiscus at Elliott's on the Mile in Freeport is one of our newest locations, along with 12402 Rockaway Boulevard. In Guyana at 91 Middle Street, Georgetown. Bring your family and friends and come visit us soon.
Kiss Hall is one of Queen's premier locations to celebrate any special occasion, business and social events. The ambience and atmosphere is rich with elegance. Let your vision come true and allow our staff to handle every aspect of your affair. Come enjoy this experience at Kiss Hall and share it with your guests in an unforgettable setting. We are located at 130 to 35 91st Ave, Richmond Hill, New York. Contact us at 347-564-5406.
Sherry's Weakness for Sweetness is a family-owned and operated bakery with a West Indian flair. We specialized in custom cakes, decorative desserts and a contemporary spin on traditional West Indian cuisine. We are located at 114-07 Jamaica Avenue. Hours of operations are Tuesday through Friday 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Memories should always be this sweet. Come visit us today.
My dad came to the USA in his early 20s after obtaining a master's degree. He went back to school to realize the American dream and became an engineer and a tech manager for various Fortune 500 companies. As a community activist, he worked with the Democratic Party and many organizations. Now he's running to become your assemblyperson for Assembly District 24. His number one priority is public safety. Vote for him on June 28th. Early voting starts from June 18th to June 26th.
Welcome back, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now bring in Mr. Mizan Chowdhury, and he has a special message for our viewers. Welcome, Mr. Chowdhury. How are you?
Hi, good evening, Shameeza. How are you? I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to your show. I really appreciate it. I was just listening to you. Phenomenal hosting, and also our guests today, Natasha and Annalisa. Did I
Yes.
pronounce it right? Yes, Annalisa. Annalisa and Natasha, I mean, you guys are giving phenomenal information regarding mental health issues. I would definitely like to talk about the mental health issue a little bit, but before I do that, I would like to introduce myself. I know many of your viewers, they may know me or they may not know me. My name is Mizan Chowdhury. I'm running for Assembly for District 24. District 24 is include Richmond Hills, South Richmond Hills, Ozone Park, Briarwood, Jamaica Hills, Jamaica State, Hollis, Holliswood, Queens Village, and Belrose. And I am running to become your next assembly person from this district because, number one, we definitely need to have a seat at the table. We have to talk about the issues, what is basically affecting our community, especially our South Asian and Indo-Caribbean Guyanese community, because many of the time we have all the people, all the voters, we have a lot of people who lives in Queens. But unfortunately, since we do not have seat at the table, we do not get the resources what we need for our communities. and that is a big issue.
Well, what is your plan if you are elected to be assembly person for this district? Because it covers a wide population of West Indians and I'm sure South Asians. So, what
Absolutely.
is your plan? Like, what can we expect from you?
Well, so my number one priority is public safety. As you know, the current climate, New York City, the crime in New York City is almost 100+%, and especially the people, our communities are getting affected more. As you know, last few months in Richmond Hills area, we had at least 6, 7 people. They were attacked by uh, different areas and different perpetrators. Hillside Avenue, there are a lot of people, almost like 4 or 5 people were attacked for last few weeks. Unfortunately, this is a big issue in New York City right now. So public safety is my number one priority. When I become an assembly person, I want to go back to Albany and make sure that we repeal the bail reform and also we amend it, because of the bail reform, what is happening is all the offenders who are getting arrested, NYPD and our awesome police force, they're arresting these people. But when they go to court, judges and lawyers, they don't, their hands are tied because of this law. They're not getting stick to the system. They're not, they're getting let go. Like you see what happened, a couple months ago in New York City subways. Like one of the guy, he was arrested 9 times in New York City and 3 times in New Jersey. He had gun and thank God nobody was killed, but almost like what, 10, 15, 20 people were injured. And so this is my number one priority. And I want to talk about mental health. Mental health issue is a big issue for New York State. I'm sure you guys know that New York State has about 19 plus million people, but almost 4% people in New York State are, suffering with some kind of mental health issues. And last few weeks, our AG Letitia James, she's doing many events with the mental health issues. There was a lawsuit, for mental health issue. I don't know if you guys saw the city. There is a newspaper, they actually put an article out that because of the kids mental health issue, there is a lawsuit. So New York State need a lot more budgeting, lot more money, lot more funding for this kind of issue to tackle. And unfortunately, we do not have enough budget right now. So when I become an assembly person, I want to make sure I push to get more funding for the mental health issues. New York City is doing a lot of work, as you know, that for the mental health issue, but state need to really step up. And I want to, make sure that we definitely do that.
Okay.
One more thing, I want to quickly talk about that youth, right? As you can see, because of last couple of years pandemic, our youth been sitting home and they're not able to go to school for last almost like what, year and a half, right? Especially the young people, they are getting affected much more. And COVID-19 pandemic is definitely, it's a big issue for mental health because people are not able to do many things. So I think we have to really figure out how to do that, because otherwise it's going to be a big issue for us, especially for New York State.
Agreed. And I thought about that during the pandemic. Natasha, do you have a question for Mr. Chowdhury?
I don't actually.
How about
You asked the question.
What specific areas are you planning on focusing on when it comes to mental health issues? Who do you think need this help? Where would be their safe space? And a personal question, have you ever been affected, maybe a close family member, a close friend who's had a mental issue that you've experienced, witnessed with them?
Yes, I have experienced. I had one of the family person, who still have mental issue, mental health issue, right? And also I have seen some of my friends, because of the economic meltdown like 2008, and also like even current situation, if you can see that the rising you know expenses, right? Especially families, like, who are struggling with money, and the people that don't have enough work to do. Some of the families are struggling because they're not able to take care of their ends meet. So yes, I have seen a lot of people with the mental health issue, but most importantly, what I want to focus on our youth and seniors. Now, only way we can empower our youth is by educating them with um, some kind of skills, like either technology and or maybe nanotechnology, or some kind of vocational education like electrician and all those stuff. What will happen is these kids who are getting out from school or college, some of them are not able to get job. So what they do is they are going towards drugs, and that's a big epidemic, right? Especially for our community. And then gun violence. I mean, I have talked to few families in last like 6 months, that some of the families, they lost their loved ones because of the ODs, of drug overdose. And I think that we should definitely focus on that, because that will bring down the mental health issue a lot. And
If I may, those are generally the symptoms of a mental health issue, like, the
absolutely,
drugs, the alcohol. It's really to cover it up. So what are we doing before that happens?
well, that's why I said that economic issue is a big issue for many families, right? Especially, I mean, I'm not a doctor, and I definitely love to know more about the mental health issues, and I know a lot, but I'm for the medical terms, I'm not able to explain you everything in detail. But I think my priority would be that a family should be economically like in a good health, that actually lower the mental health issues, especially for the parents, right? For the seniors, I think economic improvement is very important. And for youth, as I said, that we need to make them skill laborers, right? And that's why vocational education is my number one priority too, because I think that through so I'm in technology background. I'm a technology manager. When I came to this country in my early 20s, I did finish my master's from back home. I came to this country. I could not find a job after finishing my master's. So what I did is I went back to school. I studied computers. I did multiple certifications, and then started working as a network engineer, and then as a network specialist. Now I'm a technology manager. So I did, like a lot of technology study, a lot of certification, and I think that anybody can do the same thing what I did. So I would like to introduce, like a state level, that these are the things we should do for our communities, not only for skill laborers. As you know, that we have to go elsewhere to find skill laborers. Like we have to go to India, China, and import bring people here to take care of those jobs. Why not create this in here? We
Well,
have
since I have you, and my thing is really to mental health, um, I'm going to
well,
push
no,
for
these are the
So,
communication.
I think, Annalisa, to answer your question, what Mr. Chaudhary is saying is that he is not a specialist, so he cannot determine the specific terms, but he feels a lot of the issues that he has seen has stemmed from the stability of families
Family,
that
the
are not
economic, yes,
financially stable,
environmental.
right? So that's where he's seen a lot of the mental health issues
That
among
makes
kids and
absolute
seniors
sense.
exactly,
happen. So
exactly.
I will assume, Mr. Chowdhury, if you are voted in, right, as assembly person for the
Yes,
district, you will
yes.
be able to put things in place to help either eliminate or avoid these issues, so that we're not even getting to these problems, right? Find
Absolutely,
solutions before we have to find before we have to go and dig deep and look after the problem, right?
absolutely. And that's why, like, I think budget is a big issue, right? You need to have more money and also state has to come up with different programs. Like, mental health issue is not just one kind, right? There are multiple kind of mental health issues. We have to deal with different ways, different, like some kids have mental health issues. Some could be youth, some could be seniors, some could be people like professionals, right? Like especially people who are in law enforcement, right? So we have to deal with these things differently. We cannot I mean, that's the reason we need budgeting. So when I become an assembly person, I'll push to get more budget so that we can have more mental health facilities and to take care of all these issues, deal
Well
with them.
said, Mr. Chowdhury. And I hope if you are voted in as a leader there, you are able to do the things that you mentioned here today. I would love to see more done for mental health in our community. So thank you for being here this evening. Good luck to you. And, anything that you need, we're here for you.
Yes, thank you so much. I just want to mention a couple of dates. I mean, the early voting starts on June 18 to June 26, and election day is on June 28 from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. So I would definitely urge everybody, please go out and vote. Vote is your democratic right. And it's very important that you go out and vote and you put your own people at the table. That's when you can get a lot of information. A lot of fundings are available, but unfortunately, our communities don't get it because we don't get those information. So again, Shameeza, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come and speak. And Annalisa and Natasha, very nice meeting you. Thank you so much for what you do for the community. Appreciate it, and looking forward to talk to you some other time.
Take care, Mr. Chowdhury. And while we wrap up, we will come back and wrap up in a minute. First, I do want to take some comments, but before we do that, let's take a quick break.
Enos Driving School offers training for CDL licenses, including tractor trailers, trucks, and school buses. Just think, with a CDL license, you can have access to thousands of driving jobs at large companies such as FedEx, UPS, MTA, or New York Sanitation. Enos Driving School also offers defensive driving courses and training classes for cars and motorcycles, all taught by their college-trained instructors who can even schedule your road test appointments. Inquire about other driving and training packages as well. You might even be qualified for their free CDL training, as they are a certified institution with the New York State Workforce One program. Call Enos Driving School today. They've been serving our community for over 10 years.
M&R Firefest is one of the newest hotspot in Richmond Hill. If you're looking to have a fun time or just chill, this lounge is the place to be. We celebrate all occasions, and our live entertainment and drink specials are amazing. We are located at 13123 Liberty Avenue. Come check us out and see what everyone is talking about.
Flamingo Restaurant and Mantra Lounge. We are NYC's premier Caribbean restaurant and lounge, specializing in authentic West Indian, Chinese, and Caribbean cuisine. Open every day for lunch and late nights. For delivery, find us on Uber Eats, Grubhub, Seamless, and DoorDash. Visit our rooftop lounge upstairs on the weekends for a fun-filled night. We cater and take bookings for private events. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Flamingo Mantra. Our address is 120-06 Rockaway Boulevard, telephone 7188351000.
Brooklyn Media Group and Dave Pittenberg, in association with Angels Caribbean Entertainment Group, proudly present for the first time Carnival, the musical experience at the iconic Showboat Hotel and Convention Center in Atlantic City, New Jersey on Friday, June 17th. Come and enjoy Father's Day weekend with your entire family in a family-friendly environment. A musical show with a difference, featuring a multicultural and talented Angels Caribbean Band and the Tarang Dance Troupe, live musicians, dancers, carnival costume, stealth walkers, and much more. And the mega after dance party with DJ Fest. So come dance the night away. Family fun for the weekend. Atlantic City Boardwalk, Atlantic City Beach, Showboat, Lucky Snakes Arcade, go-karts, Steel Pier Carnival, and rides. Tickets available at www.angelscaribbeanbanac.eventbrites.com. Showtime 7:30 p.m. Carnival, the musical experience.
All right, we are back, and there are some comments that I would like to just quickly go over. And there's so many comments. I would like to go over all of them, but we'll start. I see someone saying, I lost my 33-year-old son to mental health 6 months ago. My condolences to you and your family. I know that's not an easy thing to deal with, and no parent should have to deal with that. So our condolences to you. Another person says the problem with mental health issues in the US, the doctors give patients medication, which they get addicted to. and can't afford when they run out of it. Uh, the news advertising to make that call, I did call for help for someone, but the New York law is a person who have to call themselves if they wanted to appropriate help. Family members cannot make that call. Even the doctor cannot force them to get the appropriate help. How can a person in such a condition help themselves? That's one important law needed to change. This comment here is an important one, and it is a good point that this person brought forward. Um, Another one, our district school needs to have more mental health programs in school for all ages. And when people sue the state, they deserve it because very little help, little to no help. Kids should not need permission from parents to speak to a counselor. That's what it scares kids from getting help. Next person says, I beg for help for my son. These psychiatrists keep pushing meds to them. They get addicted to it. So a lot of comments, like I said, and there's so much more that I didn't get to touch on, but some very important things that was touched on by our viewers. And Natasha, what do you think? Like, which one here definitely touches you and is very, very important to you as well?
Um, well, I all of them. I mean, I could relate to a lot of those comments. You know, with the schools, I agree that the schools should have counselors there for the students, and I agree that they shouldn't have to. In some cases, I mean, as a parent, I would like to know, but sometimes I think children need help. And sometimes in some situations, you just cannot speak to your parents about those things. And sometimes those counselors or in some cases teachers, other people outside of the family unit help. And I mean, I'm talking personally from my experience also. So I agree with that. With the medication, um, in some cases, yes, you do get addicted to them. They are necessary depending on, the diagnosis. But it there's so much to say about mental health and the treatment for mental health. Um, but I do agree with those comments there. I mean, it's
And I feel, we can probably do 2 to 3 hours or longer having this discussion, and we can continue it without running out of things to say because it's such a huge topic. However, I think every comment that I just read is of relevance, right? Uh, do we need some laws change? Definitely. We need some of our laws change. We need some of the rules in schools and when people call for mental health issues, we need to change some of these things. But again, we have people who go into power, they promise a lot, and when they're in there they forget about all those promises. I would like to see more done, not only in the state of New York, but every place that we have leaders and people who are put in place to we vote for them to make changes that can help us effectively uh, battle these things, right? Annalisa, you're
If I could touch quickly on all of them, the person who mentioned that their 33-year-old was lost, if that's the right word, to mental illness about 6 months ago. I'm really sorry. I cannot begin to imagine what hell that must be like. I'm guessing that person's getting the help that they need, and that's the best you can do at this moment. When it comes to schools and kids, I know most of the schools, they have a child psychologist in there or a social worker. They monitor the children's behavior. They look at what they're, listen to what they're saying, look at what they're drawing, and then they're going to call the child in. And if they feel like it's something of concern, they're going to call the parents in. But they do tend to give children a safe space and not make them feel like, they're going to be tattled on.
right.
You can do your bit at home by sharing how you feel, your struggles with your children, not putting up that front that you're so tough and you're so strong and you could handle life, right? They need to see that you're a human being too, and that makes them, it gives them permission to share their feelings with you. So when you're frustrated and you're flustered, and even if you snap at them, go to them and say, you know what, mommy's having a difficult day, daddy's having a really difficult day. If it's at work or my health, I'm worried about something. Let them see the human in you. And then they'll see that you go through your phases of difficulty, but then you get up and you move. And they learn that, they pattern that.
Right.
That keeps them going. It also helps them to come and talk to you. When they see that you're vulnerable, it helps them to become more vulnerable because they don't see it as a weakness. They see strength in it. A story that I like to share, and I am going to share it. Once I was really frustrated about something, I was going to see my kids in Canada, and there was like this border COVID testing issue where I had to come back to Buffalo to get tested, but I was on my way to Canada for my daughter's 18th birthday. And so I stopped at the border because they're sending me back to get that test. My son's in the back seat. He's 11 years old. And I asked the officer, I said, just give me a minute, please. And I broke down and I cried. And I had a good cry. And my son was in the back seat. He's like, Mama, are you feeling better now? And I said, yeah, I'm better. And he's like, good. It's good you got it out. Right? You could teach them that by just showing it to them, right? So that's one little thing that you could do for your kids. Journal, get them into journaling early. You don't have to read what they're saying, but they're getting their emotions out. You're teaching them, and you do that for yourself too, adults.
Annalisa, I'm happy that you brought that up. Hold that thought right there. So listen, tonight we spoke about mental health, right? We spoke about the statistics, we spoke about the stigma, we spoke about our community, we spoke about a lot of things. We had a lot of it was very interactive. But for me, I like solutions to the problem. How do we take care of ourselves firstly? And how do we become that person that others can, confide in us, and we can be that support for others? So with that said, in terms of tips to help yourself, I will say the thing, and then you guys tell me what you think, right? So one of the things that I believe in is to value yourself. What are some of the ways that, as human beings, we can value ourselves? Like, I think it all starts with us when it comes to mental health, taking care of ourselves, right? And going back to what you were saying, a great way not only to help our kids, but to help ourselves is to maybe journal, find ways that we can have a good cry, have a good laugh, maybe with your girlfriends, right? So I think putting that value onto yourself is something that we need to start doing more of. Would you guys agree with that?
True.
Annalisa, go ahead. I know you have.
You can't value yourself if you don't know yourself. So first you've got to learn who you are. And that means looking at exactly who you are, the parts of you that you love and the parts of you that you really don't like. And if you want to change those parts about you that you don't like, you start changing them, you start working on them. Not everyone's into journaling. I love journaling. I write. If you don't like to sit with a pen and a paper or a computer and a keyboard, talk to yourself, sit in front of the mirror, do it in the car, have conversations. I just started a program for myself. It's called Self-Authorship. It's by Dr. Jordan Peterson. He's a clinical psychologist at Toronto University. It's an incredible way of getting into yourself, going into all the things that hold you back. And you could do this with a pen and paper. List 5 things that you don't like about yourself. Maybe you procrastinate, whatever it is, and write about them. It loosens the grip of that thing. It helps you to appreciate where it all started, how you could move forward. Meditate. If you don't know how to meditate, if you've never done it before, start with breathing exercises. Just focus on your breath for a little bit. Just, the first 3 or the first 4. And then look at your thoughts. It's not about shutting your thoughts off right now if you've never done it before. It's about looking at your thoughts and asking questions like, where are these thoughts coming from? What is it asking me to do? Get more into yourself, because that's where the change starts. And gratitude exercises. that moves you away from depression. Depression is in the past. It's in regretting things of the past. Anxiety is worrying about things in the future. When you practice gratitude, breathing, it brings you into the present. And right now, if all of us, whoever's looking at this, if you're stressed about something in the future tomorrow, or if you're worried about you didn't get something right yesterday, look at yourself right now. You're sitting, you're watching this show. There is nothing to worry about. You're absolutely safe. You're safe. And that takes away that stress, the worry, the anxiety, the depression, sadness, whatever it is you're going through. So practicing these little things, it moves you. And quickly about medication for mental illnesses, it depends on the severity of the mental illness, right? Sometimes you need medication to get your brain chemicals back to where it needs to be. But before you jump to psychiatry, find out about coaching, find out about therapy. What's the difference between coaching, therapy, and psychiatry? You know, there is a big difference. You can call for help. There are other places you could pick up the phone and call. Yeah, you might not have gotten the help the first time. But I know if you have a family member or a friend and they're having suicidal thoughts, you can call and they will come and pick up that person, right? There's certain, there is help. There's always help available. It takes a little bit of work sometimes, but there's help.
Natasha?
No, I got lost in Annalisa's conversation there.
Yes.
Yes, valuing yourself. I agree. You have to take self-accountability to value yourself. You have to look at yourself first, and being accountable doesn't mean being strong and, well, believing, you know, that you're strong, you need to hold it together. I believe in being vulnerable and identifying within yourself, like, oh, you know, I do have a problem, or I am a little stressed about something. I need to reach out to somebody, or whatever resources are available to you professionally, life coach, counselors, your best friend that you trust. I think it's important to do that, and you have to take care of yourself before you can help anyone else, or, you know, your family members or the people, your kids. It's really important to identify those issues within yourself, those stresses. So I agree, you do have to value yourself. You have to learn about yourself. And I read a lot of books about that, and learning to look at myself so that I could heal and fix myself before I can, you know, interact with other people. Because sometimes how you behave towards other people is really coming from how you feel about yourself, you know. So yes, I do agree.
Like that's one very important point. And I think with all of those things that you guys just said, it sums up starting with yourself. But one of the very, very important thing that we need to remember and we need to practice even more is ask for help if you need it, right? Again, it goes back to what we started the conversation with tonight, and that is judgment and having stigma and all of these things. But knowing ourselves and really, you know, focusing on us. Another important thing is to really going back and asking for help if we really feel that none of those things we practiced and did, it's not working. Ask for help. All right. Ladies, it was such a pleasure to speak to both of you this evening. Natasha, you and I are going to continue because we have to speak to you. We have to hear you sing. Annalisa, always a pleasure. And I will see you soon. Take care of yourself.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, Natasha. It was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
And Natasha, we will definitely get to you. But first, here is a message from our sponsors.
Hibiscus has been a flagship restaurant in our community for a very long time. Come dine with us and enjoy our excellent food, drinks and service at any one of our many locations. We are located on 12418 101 Avenue and 22113 Jamaica Avenue. Hibiscus at Elliott's on the Mile in Freeport is one of our newest locations, along with 12402 Rockaway Boulevard. In Guyana at 91 Middle Street, Georgetown. Bring your family and friends and come visit us soon.
Kiss Hall is one of Queen's premier locations to celebrate any special occasion, business and social events. The ambience and atmosphere is rich with elegance. Let your vision come true and allow our staff to handle every aspect of your affair. Come enjoy this experience at Kiss Hall and share it with your guests in an unforgettable setting. We are located at 130 to 35 91st Ave, Richmond Hill, New York. Contact us at 347-564-5406.
Sherry's Weakness for Sweetness is a family-owned and operated bakery with a West Indian flair. We specialized in custom cakes, decorative desserts and a contemporary spin on traditional West Indian cuisine. We are located at 114-07 Jamaica Avenue. Hours of operations are Tuesday through Friday 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Memories should always be this sweet. Come visit us today.
All right, we are back, Natasha. And speaking of Kiss Hall, we are about to do some stuff this weekend, huh?
Yes, I'm excited.
I am excited, and I'm trying to contain myself right now, but I'm very excited. There's a lot of planning involved, and I'm taking one day at a time for my mental health. But truly, truly excited for this weekend. I get to be in your company, and we're gonna have a lot of fun this weekend.
Yeah.
So for anyone that's watching, if you are interested in coming out and celebrating with us, we will be at Kiss Hall celebrating 1 year of Get Real with Shameeza. It's a recognition dinner, and we will be honoring quite a few guests that was featured on Get Real with Shameeza. This Saturday, we will also have performances by the beautiful Natasha Sundar, Anthony Prasad, Tasif Baksh, Cherish Raghunanan. We're going to have the Guyana Babu himself, Terry Gadraj will be there, and it will be a fun evening. Come out and celebrate with us. So, Natasha, you are the granddaughter of the famous musician Sundar Popu. Tell us about your relationship with your grandfather. What was it like?
Oh boy. So what he would say, back in the day when I was a little child, he would tell everyone I'm his pet. So I don't know if you know what that means. Like in Trinidad, it basically means the apple of your eye, kind of thing.
Right.
So our relationship, I was the only child in the house, at the time. So when he was not touring and traveling, and he's home, I would be with him everywhere. It doesn't matter what part of the house, watching TV, taking care of the plants, going to pick fruits, whatever it is, I was there because I was the gopher or the hand me that, get that, go for the
Yes.
remote, pick up that, I need
Yeah.
this, that was me. I did that. So I was always around him, and that was our relationship at home. It was,
Wow.
yeah, it was a nice time. Now that I'm older, when you're young, you're like, please leave me alone. I want to go in my room and be alone, or I want to watch TV or whatever the case is. But now that I'm an adult, I miss those days and that time so much. I have so many questions,
Mhm.
now, especially now, being in music.
Right.
I'm trying every time I'm doing music myself, my memory goes back to him. It goes back to when he, watching him build music or watching him practice or literally write songs, because I'm remembering, what he was doing and the teachings he had that I ignored, back then. But
Right.
now I'm reflecting a lot more than I ever did.
Wish you can go back and say, hey, Grandpa, tell me about this. How do you do this part, right?
Right,
Don't
exactly.
we all who have lost someone that was dear to us feel that way sometimes, right? Wish we can go back and change certain things. Now, speaking about adulthood, right? You wear many hats. You're a singer, you're a veteran, you have a full-time job, you're president of a foundation, and you are a mom. Which of these roles is the most challenging for you?
Whew. I would say my job is pretty challenging right now.
I think
I'm
you
laughing
and
now.
everyone else out there, right?
I hope my boss is not looking, watching, but
She
my
means
job.
that in a very good way. She's protecting her mental health.
And yeah, honestly speaking, my job is probably very demanding, and it's probably the most challenging thing I have to do right now. Everything else I actually enjoy. It's work, but I enjoy it. You know, singing, doing music, production, practicing, even being with the kids, and the foundation. I have a lot of work to do in the foundation still, but even watching that grow, you know, and trying to build that, that makes me happy. It is a lot of work. It's very tedious. There's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of administration work, but I enjoy it, you know. Um, yeah. So
Er,
that's
Most of the things, or almost everything other than your job, is what I'm hearing.
yeah, yes. Yeah, I
Now,
enjoy
tell
everything.
tell me something about you that will surprise me.
Hmm, that would surprise you. Oh boy. That would surprise you. I don't know. I I don't know what would surprise you, Shameeza.
I know so much, right?
uh, I can't think of anything right now that comes to mind
Mind that
right
comes to
away.
mind, right?
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to the next question. If it
Yeah.
does come to you, let me know. Now, without giving a lot away, what can we expect from your upcoming music?
Okay. Upcoming music. So I am gonna continue doing music, doing production. Um I would say right now I am on my musical journey of learning about myself, um, learning, you know, I believe that music is unique to the person. So
Mhm.
every single artist put out themselves out there. They put their heart and their soul and their love, passion, all of that into their music. That's who they are. And right now, as the beginner in the beginning stage of music, I'm trying to find my myself, you know, where what kind of music I like, what kind of beats, who am I, what do I want to do, what do I want to contribute, what kind of music I want to do. So I think that's the stage I'm in right now, is exploring music and learning different avenues, learning about myself and what I like, and you know, trying to bring my uniqueness to the table, I would say.
And I think that's important, right? Like, uh, really finding out. Again, we speak about mental health and finding out who you are as a person. In music, I feel it's important to know what your voice is meant for. Every type of song is not for everyone, right? I think it's important for know what is right for your voice and how you can tap into other things that make yourself stand out. Because it's normal for people to get into music or anything else in life, right? And just do it. It's harder to stand out and be unique.
Right.
So when you have someone like yourself who is there to not just sing because it's singing, but to find that little thing that makes you unique is quite important. And I admire you for that. Now, speaking of music and speaking of, singing, if you found today who you are as a musician, right?
Hmm.
What song will you sing for us right now?
Oh, so right now, so I'm still searching. I mean, I like different genres of music. Can I sing different genres of music? Probably not, not yet. Still working on the vocals on that. But I found myself recently going back to the traditions. So I have a likeness for Bhojpuri music, the traditional type of Bhojpuri music, more like what my great grandmother, great grandparents would sing. And it's not exactly like traditional chutney. It's a little bit different. I mean, dad sang of those kind types of music years ago, and right now I am looking at those because I think it brings me closer to him, and it brings a lot of nostalgic memories also.
Mhm.
So that would be it at this time in my life. That is where I'm looking at.
And what does it sound like?
So one of Dad's song that I like goes like this. Okay. कल कतवाने जाओ महाराज हमारी दिल कैसी लगी कल कतवाने जाओ महाराज हमारी दिल कैसी लगी कैसे लगी कमराज कैसे लगी कमराज कैसे लगी कल कतवाने जाओ महाराज हमारी दिल कैसी लगी. That's one of his songs that I love.
So I don't think that's traditional chutney because I know that song. I mean, we grew up listening to those
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's not
yeah.
considered traditional chutney.
I mean, you can make it in traditional chutney,
Okay.
with
But
the beats
it's
and
really not. So probably people like me who just grew up listening, thinking, okay, this is chutney. We identify it as chutney, but there
I
is something else to it.
well,
Um,
yeah. Chutney is
now,
what do you controversial, however you say that word, controversial.
country, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Now, in a world of musicians where we have a majority of men, how do you adjust to make sure you're seen and heard?
that is challenging. Yes. I You just have to be yourself, honestly. I mean, as a female, it's a little bit challenging to be out there, but if, for me, I would just be myself, there's no difference. I love being my feminine self, and I had this, this topic came up within the military as well. The majority in the military is men, so being a female can be, and being heard can be a little challenging sometimes. But here in the music world, I would continue to be myself, and knowing what you want and how you want it, and do what you want to do, make that contribution towards music. Because I love the feminine aspect of any events. Like, you do have all the men there, and they're great, beautiful, but you the female bring a softness to it. They bring their sexiness to it, and that is something that I love watching. And as a female, that is what I like to be as well. Bring the softness to it, bring the sexiness to it, and bring the femininity to the stage, and to that environment.
Agreed, agreed. And, unique being stand out, right? And those are the things that make us stand out as females, right?
Yeah.
Um, if you can heal the world through music, what song will you sing?
Oh boy.
I know I was very, very difficult with you tonight.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
If I could heal the world through music, there is so many songs. But through music, I can't think of it. Actually, it would be um Mother's Love.
Oh my
Prob-
gosh, exactly what I am thinking.
I was
Exactly what I'm thinking.
it, there's so many beautiful songs out there, Bollywood
course.
songs, English songs, but that song is just timeless. There's so many people that love, and you soften everyone's heart with that song. So it would be, Mother's Love.
You want to give us a taste of it?
No.
You can do it. I know you can do it.
Oh my
I mean,
God,
it's one of
Shameeza.
those songs. Every time I hear that song, until this day, from a child growing up to an adult now, I cannot have dry eyes when I listen to that song.
Yeah.
So let's see if you can have that effect on me today.
Oh boy. Your mother's love should never forget. The wrong things you do, child, you're bound to regret. Your mother's love should never forget. The wrong things you do, child, you're bound to regret.
All right, all right. Yes, that's the effect of that song. Truly, truly the effect from a child growing up. And I clearly remember my dad playing that song on Mother's Day. And my grandma actually lived in Canada. And my dad always played that song on Mother's Day. And I don't know, he probably still plays it every Mother's Day. And he cries. It's only one time of the year that I'll see dad cry. And that's a song that he will cry. So with that said, Natasha, I can't wait to see you this weekend, celebrate with you, and we're gonna have a great time. I am so excited, and I know you are, and we're
I
about to have a good
am.
time. On closing, I do want to say that tonight we learned mental health has no face. People are suffering in silence. Do you feel if there was less judgment in society, more people will come out and speak up? What can you do as a human being to make it easier for that person that is suffering? Can they trust you? Are you a good listener? Is there a secret place with you? Is there a secret safe with you? Consider these questions as we all work to make this world a better place. Until next time, be reliable, be loyal, be yourself first. Good night.